Hello folks, this is Psychic Underlord from psychic_underlord.shop. Whoa! I guess this camera has to be tightened up a little bit. I guess I should be fine if I don't go over any speed bumps. I want to do another video. I want to talk about President Donald Trump. He is now becoming more of a princely king than ever before. He's currently on a tour of Asia. And you know, he's gone on many tours of Asia, and it only harkens back to the fact that President Biden and Kamala Harris did absolutely nothing in 4 years. They didn't even go to the United States border with Mexico to even see it. And this was the lightning rod of the entire election. So, you know, we got a lot of disagreement happening. Donald Trump, they say one thing about him, but it just doesn't wash. It's just not true. When they say he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. No, he really does. He even sent his wife to Asia back in 2016. We're going to go deep into the occult today. In 2016, this goes back to the closing of the Millennium Veil. Many, many women and men who walk the earth who are listening to this video remember the days of looking out into humanity, violating the privacy of other people, and seeing what they were doing, what they were saying, what they were wearing, where they were going. And the dumbness and the denseness of society was so extremely high and so potent that you couldn't even imagine how dense things were in those years, 2016 and before. And it really got bad after 9/11. There was a global hijacking of humanity. In the beds, they could be found hidden in the dark crevices of the night and in the darkened crevices of the daytime heist. The trafficking, the stealing of a generation began long before 2016, but it was palpable. The frustration, the chaos being created, every move we made. If you dare to fight back against the dark emissaries, we'll call them the Ophanim. Those, I have extensive experience with the spirits of the Ophanim. They are listed in the Bible as one of the terrorizing angels of the apocalypse. The Ophanim would jump into bodies that were at rest and inhabit and siphon their energy to an extraterrestrial source through sexual energy. They would go into the bodies of those who had been abandoned in the night for another day, deep in the addiction of the chemical fentanyl, deeper than fentanyl. This was a pre-fentanyl addictive substance chemically, where people would go to work and say, I cannot work. I must leave. I must leave. They could not function under the drugging of their bodies being done 24 hours a day and 25 hours on the weekend. if you could imagine that. Imagine doubling the anguish and the intensity of the grip of the chemical addiction upon their lives. 25 to 26 hours on the weekend a day. These people thought they were living in free will, but they had surrendered their will to the dark side. That dark side had absolutely no care in the world about how dark it became for them, because the sickness and the dark sickness of what they were doing to them became absolutely unbearable. Hearts palpitating all day long, headaches, waking in the night, waking in the day with headaches. Why is my head aching? Why am I struggling through this feeling of anguish that I'm not even doing? I'm not even doing this to myself. What could be causing this? Became the question. Globally, they were asking themselves the same question. In China, how can this be? What is happening? Who is this? Where are they? People hidden beyond the veil, spying for the NSA and other secret societies through the military. They were really searching through the eyes of the military. Were tracking down those who they were pursuing in hot pursuit through the bodies of the enslaved class. Come with me into the occult. We are deep in the occult right now. The princely king of the United States, Donald Trump, he has shown himself to be a king. King of women and king of men. And only those of the occult know what I mean when I say that. The first thing he did was send his wife from the Western Hemisphere to the Eastern Hemisphere during the actual week of the falling of the veil at the Lion's Gate of 2016, which was extremely an anxious time in the world. People didn't know how to negotiate their relationship. They didn't know how to negotiate their marriages any longer. They didn't know how to negotiate their career choices and what they chose to do with their lives. It became something that they were almost disempowered from, if that could even be said. Because these were the most empowered people in the world who had been given carte blanche the blood of this world. One of the first things Donald Trump said is he said, they are poisoning the blood of this nation. And that's true, because what they've been doing since 2016 in Mexico, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Bolivia, Panama, all of these countries, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, these people have been seeking to bust the veil open through the blood. They want to come through the blood to bust it open. And they haven't been able to. The only thing that's happened is that blood has run. Blood has run to the point where they have had an entire nation's worth of people, more than a nation, invade another country running from a so-called issue. They're thinking that somehow we had access to the fentanyl that they were subsisting from since before 2016, and that somehow we were getting something that they were not able to get. But in this country, as you know, we were not receiving from the veil whatsoever. Not even the Secret Service was able to receive from the veil post 2016. This was an intelligence program. And even the fact of trafficking, the human trafficking, the searching of souls, the searching of the heart is what the code name for this project was. The code name Searching for the Heart. They could not find anything on the other side. They were looking for patient number 0, where they would be able to search through them and turn on access to those clandestine sources that had been hidden since the closing of the veil in 2016. And every last time, every woman, every man, completely empty. Even combinations of 2 men, a 2-man, of a 3-man, a 2-woman, a 3-woman. You saw a lot of this post 2016, the storehousing and the multiplicity of the seeking and searching for the source at patient 0. Now that patient 0, as far as I know, doesn't exist. But when you have something where so many billions and trillions of dollars was sitting in that thing, they could not access the money. You're starting to see now how those monies that had been storehoused within the structures of those dynamic storehouses are currently being offset. They're being offset, they're being released. Those monies are inaccessible. They're not able to, so what they're doing is they'll put money beneath a chicken to sit on the money to be able to launder it, traffic it, and pretend that it's going to yield a chicken out of it. So we're going to use a chicken to lay on the money and hopefully a chicken will hatch. That's never going to happen. But the illusion is that it keeps the people watching so that as they continue seeking patient 0, and they say she's out here somewhere, patient 0 is out here, because if I cut out of her what has been sutured to seal the veil, then the veil will be an ever-flowing surplus of unlimited resources and money that will flow just like a waterfall all day and all night. And we will be able to increase our yields dynamically in such a way that it's never been seen. Now with the veil closed, you see the economy has gone up. See, before the veil was closed, the economy benefited those of that extraterrestrial race, the jumpers. If you've ever heard of getting a jump shot, somebody to charge a battery to create a spontaneous spark and the ignition of an engine. Give me a jump. These ones, they are the flyers. They are the ones that sail through the expansiveness of space and have no concept of firm foundation whatsoever. As they move through the world, they may as well be swimming because they are so accustomed to swimming in the abyss and taking what is not theirs, that there's no interference, there's no friction that occurs as they move surreptitiously through reality and from reality to reality to reality to reality, to where nothing, absolutely nothing, is held in reality. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, the containment of those ancient waters held, we're going into deep into the occult, allegedly, those deep waters that were sequestered, let's say, and held by those extraterrestrial floaters and jumpers, those were certainly chattel property. Chattel, as far as if mother was taken, the child was also taken into those abundant deep waters. The waters of no return is what they essentially are, even to this day, because those waters exist, but the sight has not been restored in them. So what it is a numb blindness. This is the most dangerous generation of those chattel slaves, the most insidious and dangerous generation, because they have never seen anything. I repeat, they have never seen anything. So the entire craving of the search party and rescue is a chemically induced fentanyliac of dark sickness that can never be, ever, for the history of the world and for the rest of their life. They will never see anything, and their mind will never hold anything. They are the empty hard drive that has been rebooted, restarted, rebuilt, and in a sick manner, to the point that even their presence is just so destructive, it will bring down a 747 to have that in the presence near you, abiding with your projects, with different things that you're involved in. And since they're so automated, a lot of them have been systematized into a hand-to-mouth existence of feeding through the chemical sequestration process. Those accounts, any monies in those accounts that they hold or held, they have been actually taken by the extraterrestrial jumpers as a way to provide consistent housing, especially during this federal month of shutdown that they've had. The reality is that the monies that they were receiving, which were automated, have been now under the possession of the jumpers. So they have just reallocated those resources through, instead of through the sight of the slave, through the body of the slave, they've done the same thing. And it just happened just like water, a slippery consistency, no friction, no resistance whatsoever, in the fact that the accounts, the monetary accounts, were passed over into the hands of those men, and they will send those monies up into their dark emissary hosts, who will receive those monies in the black trade process that they have been doing for eons and eons. Now, since they cannot retrieve those monies on their own, they now receive them from the enslaved emissaries, which live in those dark houses and dark crevices. So he has returned to Asia, the place where religion first came, where the fallen angels first fell. The olden temples, those places which were sanctioned for worship, sanctioned to be able to provide information and provide organized society. He's returned there, and just as a princely king proclaiming that the word has been delivered, that the prophecy has been fulfilled, and that only hell uh, can take care of hell at this time. It's not the job of his government or his administration to bow to the needs or the subsistence of those of that class of existence. Because the prophecy, it mandated that their destruction be full, not partial. So, you're not hearing the crying and weeping and all this kind of stuff now, but what you're doing is we're going to wait and see. We're going to wait and see who hollers, and that's going to determine where the whack-a-mole is. And you're going to see it in this Christmas season and going towards Christmas. When they cry out, it's going to be considered a whack-a-mole, and that's where they're going to take the punching bag thing and smash it down on the head of whoever made a noise, because they are ferreting out those that are of a destructive essence. Those are who are of the wicked class are being uh, put into a place where they no longer can operate. They're crying out for something that they cannot ever receive, something that is no longer in existence for them or for anyone else. So why are they calling? Is what the question will be, and this is what people are going to be zeroing in on. Who's crying out? I hear them crying, and then the thing is going to hit them. The mallet is going to go over their head just as a whack-a-mole and smash them down into the hole. So what do you do? What do you do when people cannot see that they've become a whack-a-mole? A princely king. They were not meant to come up into that space. That is reserved for the apocalypse. We are living in the nuptials of an apocalyptic era where sanity is our reality, where reality is that which has been foretold, not that which is weird and they want to make weird into good. That can never be. Only Donald Trump can wear this cloak and hold this mantle. He was called to become the president of the United States. Do you understand what just happened? They took a guy who was amazingly famous, had been working deals for 50, 60 years, become extremely successful, extremely driven, extremely dedicated to something. Let's say to something. And he took all that energy and made the United States the objective. You can't make that up. That doesn't just happen because you're famous or because you're wearing a few movies. That doesn't just happen. Because what's happened is that people have been put under his authority. Lots of them. Lots and lots of them. And his responsibility, he actually stood up and said, I'm the only one qualified to resolve this type of situation. And you cannot deny that indeed he is exactly who he says that he is. A princely king in the time of trouble. And in the Bible, what is the thing that comes after the revelation of this vision, of this dream that's supposed to be uh, figuratively cast as how the world should end or what shall be after the coming, the second coming of Christ? He said he's coming back as a sword. A sword. If you make an upside down cross, it looks just like a sword. He said, I may have to go to hell for this. But most people think right now, everything that would be close to heaven would be everything that he won't do. That's their heaven. And everything that he won't do brings pain and suffering and is a miserable sore and disgrace and something that should be put down. That's everything that they want, is everything that should be killed. So what I say is that him going to hell is expressing the fact that if this is their heaven, we're going to have the exact opposite of all of this. And that is extremely comforting to know that the princely king of the United States has come for our good.